Thank you, 1,000 thanks to you. Video on how to replace your message on your Brother MFC-J4510DW Brother printer. So this is the inside of your Brother, and we have a message that the ink absorber is full, and this is your ink absorber. This is what we need to replace or clean at this time. So looks like we have a couple of screws to remove and cut the plastic, and we're going to try to wash and clean that and put it back together. So here I'm going to cut through the plastic here and remove ink absorber and see if I can clean it. So let's see if I can gently cut through the plastic here. I'm probably going to take this back together so that this plastic is here to make sure there's no spill and make a mess. So we need to secure that when we put this back together. As you can see, I'm cutting through it and the ink is actually coming through already, which means it's definitely full. So let's be gentle here and not spill anything. There goes your ink absorber right there. I don't want to remove the plastic completely because I want to keep that plastic in case I have to use it again. Tilt it back while I take this absorber out. Like this. You can see it's very full. Okay, so here we have the ink absorbers out. The small ones are for the color, and these long ones here are for your black and white because it's completely saturated with black ink. And the color cartridge here and the black and white. The black one goes right here. As you can see, they're completely out, but it is quite a mess in there. And one word of advice, you're going to need a lot of these, a lot of paper towel. I have not removed the tray. I'm going to clean it while it's still on there. I really should remove it and wash it, but I'm going to try to avoid taking things off. I don't want to break this connector here. So I'm going to leave it on while I clean it and put things back together. Stand by once again. And allow it to dry after you wash it out. Try not to squeeze these too much. You don't want to lose their shape or rip or tear them. So just let the water run through them. If you remember, I said you're going to need lots of paper towel to complete this job. Here we have our ink absorbers, and what I'm going to do here, I'm drying them out between the paper towels, just pressing the paper towel down on them so that they'll dry out faster. You can put them in the dryer, but it takes a little while. If you want to get this printer working as quickly as possible, just once again, get your paper towel, and you're going to insert them in the paper towel, and just fold it over and squeeze down. So here I've cleaned out the cartridge. Not completely clean, but it is good enough. This area usually has ink and therefore a little bit wet, but I'm going to put the cartridge, the absorbers back into this area. I did not remove this tray from the printer. So here we are. We have our ink absorbers here, and we're about to reinstall them into the printer. I have dried them out, as you saw, with the paper towel. Here we have the smallest one. From what I can tell, the smallest one goes in the back. Hope this is visible for you all to see. And there's a little notch right there. Let's put it like that, and that should seat it properly. And here's the other one. I think this is once again for the color. There's a little notch right here, right between the notch, and stick this head in, and a little push, and the seat. There we go. That looks pretty good. Larger ones, but they have different notch and grooves and stuff on them. The first one I'm putting in is this. Other two are here. Let's see if we can line up the notches correctly. It's a little pressed by the finger here, and it seems to seat in just perfectly good. There's a sensor right here. You want to cover the sensor up. And that's the first one, and I do believe this is the second one to go in. So, once again, small little push. And that fits right in there. I can see that fits perfectly. Let's use this little tool to make sure it sits properly. And that looks good. And the last one is this one here. As you can see, it should go in like this, and it should fit. So let's line this up correctly. There's a notch right there. Squeeze in, fold and tuck. This one should be basically loosely fitted. It shouldn't be forced down, from what I can tell. So you have some space, so air goes between the three different layers. Fitted like this, and I think we are good. Here we are. We replaced the ink absorber, and as for the plastic, I did not want to remove completely. Fold it back over like so, and I'm going to tape it back on to prevent any kind of spillage to come out of it in case it fills up again. Only over the printer, not anything else. So here I'm just gonna tape the cartridge back together so that in case there's a spill, it will contain the spill in case it fills up again. And you don't want to spill it all over your printer because it's very difficult to clean it up again. Just keep it secure. And tape that down, and there we go. That should hold it in position. So let's cover this one here as well. And take that down so it's nice and snug. From there, we're ready to install our cover. Just want to get only that. I don't want to get the stuff on. So here in this section, looks like we have some ink on the left front of the printer here. This section is, but we have a lot of ink down in here. And I think we need to clean that out as well while we're in here. The best way to do it is damp paper towel, some water, and wipe along. But it's always also best to get the paper towel down here, maybe some Q-tips, and wipe this section out. You can see it's kind of dirty. This way, when we put the printer back together, we won't have any problems in the near future. Put the top cover back on, which is our scanner bed. So to put this top cover back in, I'm just going to insert the base, the bottom, straight in like this, and just slide it in. And then, of course, there are two parts on it that hold it properly together so it doesn't slide out. And we need to put our cables back together. Just going to move this down and push it so it seats back into position. You might hear the clicks, and we have some ribbons and cables to put back together. Now, I have some tools here you might notice, and I have a magnifier, so in case I cannot see correctly, I'm going to use all of these to put them together. So let's start with the small connectors here before I begin the video in case I forgot how they go, but they're basically color-coded. Do the shorter ones first. And I'm going to put a flashlight on what I'm doing over here. And I'm going to put this white one. It's just a small little push, and it seats. And this red one here, it's red color-coded, so it should be simple. You cannot go in the wrong way, so I have to put it in the connector and then push. You might hear that little click, which means it's seated properly. And go for these larger ones. I'm going to do the ribbon last. So here we have our connectors. As you can see, they're blue and white, so logically speaking, the blue goes to blue. And there you go, that's in. And this one here, the white one, same thing. It clicks into position, you pull on it, it doesn't come up very easily, so it's seated properly. And now for the ribbon. So if you put the magnifier, you can see there's a hole. By itself, you would never see that hole unless you have really good eyes. And there are two sides on the ribbon. One has electrodes on it, and the side does not. Just line up like this and put in the hole and a gentle push. Okay, so we have our ribbon seated, and we have our everything reattached, cables, console. We got the screws in here, we got screws in the front, and we have the screws in the back. Everything is in. From here, we have to install this arm one more time. So with this arm, it does come with this attachment here. If you happen to lose it and it comes off, just put the arm like this and run it towards the front, and as you run it towards the front, it reattaches like this quite easily. So once you have your cover on and you have your support, I'm just going to press this part up into this recess right here. This way, when you close the cover, it can slide. Let's once again do that. So you can close the cover and you can go back and forth like this quite easily and still hold it up in case you want to keep it up. Now, there's one thing that we forgot. At this stage, we forgot this small screw right here, which holds on the ground cable, which is this one here. These printers are actually kind of complex, and they have all kinds of sensors on them. So let's put that through the wire first, get our screwdriver. Now I have the cover on. I really should have done that before I put the cover on, because at this point the cover is interfering with the screwdriver. And everything is seated. Make sure the wires are nice and flat, this way they don't stick up. And there's one more item, and that is to put the cover on for this. And that's something else we forgot. Complete the installation, we need a cover for the electronics and for the motherboard, and this is it right here. Make sure everything is lined up. There's a little tab right here in the front, so I'm going to just lean it like this and press down. And it clicks into place. No screws for this particular one here, and that is seated correctly. And there's one other item we need to complete this project of ours. And down here you might notice that the print tray, our ribbons already inserted, are installed. Close that back up. So that's it. We're finished installing our ink absorber in our Brother MFC-J4510DW. Thank you, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.
Thank you, 1,000 thanks to you.